I'm Joris Peels, and this is another edition of 3D Printing News Unpeeled, brought to you by 3dprint.com. So, where are we going to go today with our news? Well, first off, we're going to look at Sculpteo, and BASF's subsidiary Sculpteo is going to close its online 3D printing marketplace as of November 4th. Now, so what does that mean? Now, Sculpteo, the 3D printing service, will still continue to exist. And as Alexandre Dorsetti said on LinkedIn, that it's used by the online 3D printing marketplace, used by a handful of designers who will still be able to access and manage their designs. And as also another quote, our overall online business continues to grow at pace and is in fact much more focused on the production of end-use parts and series. So what does this mean? Is this the death of the marketplace model, right? I remember that Shapeways, other companies will always try to do this marketplace idea where you have a whole bunch of designers sell their goods at one place. Now, I think we never really had the critical mass for all designers, and we never had the critical mass for all consumers. So, and there wasn't a critical mass, enough people in jewelry aficionados or people who are into tabletop gaming to really justify these markets' success. So I think if somebody would try it, like for example, a very focused marketplace model where you upload your designs, you price them, whatever you want to price them, and the 3D printing service ships them and handles the physical distribution of the good. If you do this for tabletop gaming, for example, and you were able to get the top designers and the top tabletop gaming people there, and you're really able to get yourself a lot of attention in the tabletop gaming community, then I think maybe this could be successful. I don't think it's the death of this model, right? Now, but it will be a long time, or maybe never, that somebody tries to make a unique marketplace type model where you sell everything. That kind of utopian 3D printing vision, we can't finance that now just because there isn't enough money available for this kind of these really big idea kind of visions. It's good to know that the Sculpteo is shifting more towards end-use parts and business type parts. We saw that as well with 3D hubs that went from a very consumer-focused model to a very business-focused service model. And we saw this as well with other services as well. Everybody's migrating from the consumer focus much more to business focus. Now, that's of course good, but I think that environment, that business to business 3D printing environment for prototypes and end use part, is going to be very, very brutal. We're going to see a lot of commoditization of entry level sintering equipment. We're going to see commoditization of quad laser and less metal printing equipment. And we're going to see a lot of commoditization of just material extrusion, FDM. So it's going to be a very, very brutal space. So these guys all trying to find business customers may find that is going to be a very tough part to operate, a very tough area to operate. So that's going to be tough. And also, if you own the customer, then there are real advantages. So I do hope that someone tries this, but I think, considering the money that is available, you'd really have to focus it on a particular community. Particular country or a particular physical or a particular online connected community for this to make sense in the current thing. But generally, I think this is a sign of the times, if you will. But if somebody got more reach, more audience, more critical mass, then maybe they would be able to get the successful once and for all for everyone. Now, one thing I do believe in, now I think the marketplace is going to be really difficult. Right, you really have to push those people to come to your audience. Now, but what about the embeddable shop concept, which I materialize and others have tried as well? What if all the creators who want physical products, and also a lot of people, influencers and that kind of thing, especially like design type influencers, what if they just had an embeddable shop? You can add a shop to your social media posts, to your social media profiles, to whatever websites you have to order stuff. And that gets automatically fulfilled by Sculpteo or Materialize or someone. That to me is a very, very valuable approach. And I think that has insufficiently. I remember there's one company doing this at the moment, I think from Estonia or something. The name escapes me at the moment, sorry. But I think that's a very, very valuable kind of way forward. Anyway, so the next news item is from Axial3D and GE Healthcare. So GE Healthcare is a company that makes MRI scanners, CT scanners, all sorts of stuff like that. And Axial3D has been a service and software that basically automates the segmentation of MRI and other kind of medical files, so that you can identify individual organs or like the blood vessels or all sorts of kind of things of interest. And that already happens in some medical software as well, where that enables doctors to look more closely at a particular system or a particular place in that system or what's going wrong. What Axial has done is really specialized in the making of medical models and things like that. In conjunction with hospitals, in conjunction with doctors, and also in conjunction with Stratasys up until now, a large part as well. And now with GE Healthcare, what's going to happen is there's an MOU with I think the ZTE bone imaging application, which GE has, and the Axial software. Now, the segmentation platform part of their software. So this means that it's going to be much easier for doctors to now take information out of the MRI equipment, and to get medical models made, and to get kind of maybe even patient-specific guides or patient-specific braces, and perhaps in the long run, maybe even patient-specific implants, although that's quite a bit away. On the whole, I'm not a huge fan of patient-specific implants. I think it makes sense for some cases, but again, if you're going to have an unlimited number of designs, that's going to be less safe than just having 100 different designs. And if you just have, now we have 4 different designs for everyone, clearly that's not enough. But if you would expand the number of designs to 50, for most things, you've got most people covered. We're very different, but we're not that different. Like if we're looking at our skeletal system or stuff like that, there's things that are unique about us, but there's also stuff where, we need implants that are not that unique. So I'm not a huge fan of patient-specific implants. I think that's something that we should do only if we absolutely have to do it, because it's just by design almost less safe. But this in and of itself is a really, really good move. It's a really good move for Axial because it's a very tough environment right now, especially for software startups. This really validates the fact that they could partner with big partners, big streams of data for them, and that big streams of data they can turn into medical models for now. Now, what happens in the future, we don't know yet, but I think this is a wonderful move for both these companies. I think it's a really good validation for what Axial3D is doing. I think really great, and really a lot of momentum behind this company, and it's a real moneymaker company. In essence, they're really embedded with NHS and other units, and they really offer this service. Just doctor, click on, in a few clicks, order a model. And that, as an e-commerce, if you will, kind of company, really, really interests me. And it's a really nice way, I think, of extracting a lot of value from the doctor, but also for the doctor and their patients. Her patients can really have some really, really very advanced functionality, do some surgical planning, surgical guides, that kind of thing that really they wouldn't have otherwise. And she saves a ton of time that she would have to dive into all sorts of software and stuff. And she's like, way too valuable for her to be spending all that time converting these files and doing all this stuff by herself. So I think it's really, really wonderful thing. This is happening for Axial and our market. And we expect in the long run that there is a huge opportunity for 3D printing file management, automation, and software. These files, I have to keep them 8 years or 20 years. How are you going to show them to patients? How are you going to store them? How are you going to be able to transfer them from hospital to hospital? This whole digital landscape is a mess, essentially, for hospitals, for patients, for health systems. And there's a lot of opportunity here to make these processes much more efficient, and to store and display these files in a better way. So I really like this area very, very much. And the next news is from the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy, that has done a ton for 3D printing already, is going to do some more. So it's funding 30 projects, or $30 million, and 13 different projects to essentially completely update and change how wind turbines are made. Of that money, $2.8 million is going to the Composites Manufacturing Simulation Center at Purdue University. They are going to share that money with Thermwood. They make this LSAM system, this large-scale additive manufacturing type system. Techmer, TPI Composite, Dassault System, the makers of SolidWorks, and much else besides, and Dimensional Innovations. Now, the project is called Additive Manufacturing of Modular Tools with Integrated Heating for Large-Scale Wind Blade Manufacturing. What they hope to do, this is a super ambitious, $2.8 million is a lot of money, but considering what these guys want to do, I'm not entirely sure if it's that much. It seems like a bargain, because what they want to do is make these tools for these wind turbine blades are up to 80 meters in size, right? So that the tooling, design, and development becomes more kind of iterative and agile, right? They want to build them on LSAM machines which are developed with Oak Ridge, which is also part of the Department of Energy, of course. And they want to use carbon fiber reinforced plastic materials to make these tools. Now, we're talking modular units that will be developed, but they will then serve as a tool to be a wind turbine blade up to 80 meters. Now, they hope then to reduce the tooling cost, reduce the time to get tooling by 40%, weight reduction 25%, and the manufacturing cost they want to lower by a further 35%, all at the same time. They also, because it's just not enough for these guys, they want to embed or make cooling channels for convective cooling in the tooling itself. And they also want to develop some new composites. Super ambitious. And oh yeah, and by the way, before you're wondering, like, why is Dassault in this, right? What they want is to get this whole digital twin of the tools and the manufacturing process in there. And I think that will be Dassault's kind of thing. So I think really ambitious project. Now, talking about a good investment, this is like $2.8 million. If it works, would have a huge investment, knock-on effect on wind turbine manufacture, which of course is very difficult. It's very expensive. It's very expensive to make these things and transport them as well, right? Because you have to drag them over land or with boats all across the place. So reducing the cost of this tooling, making it more iterative, also means that maybe we can manufacture closer to the place where these things are going to be built. And if you want to build like giant wind turbine farms, like have 100 of these things in one go, shipping them for hundreds of or even thousands of kilometers, with these trucks that kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these things, kind of like find it very difficult to navigate all the roads. Yeah, that's not, and I'm not saying it's not viable, but it's not very cost effective. So making things in a more digital way, closer to where you're going to deploy them, is also very attractive. So this is a wonderful investment. Seems very ambitious for the money, but I think it's something that's very, very good for the wind turbine industry and also for our industry, because this could be really huge in a kind of very expensive energy world that wants more sustainable solutions. This could be a really fantastic kind of part of the energy mix. So, and if we could just play a little part of that, I think it would have really, really big knock-on effects. So that's absolutely wonderful. Now, thank you very much for your time. My name is Joris Peels, and this is another edition of 3D Printing News Unpeeled, brought to you by 3dprint.com.